Hello everyone, and welcome to our 2020 Most Anticipated List video. Okay, a couple of things before we begin. Both of our lists, like the last 2 years, are probably going to be radically different from each other. Also, this doesn't mean that these are all the films you should be anticipating this year. There are many films that are going to come out later in the year that we don't even know about yet, but as festivals like Sundance, Tribeca, Cannes, and Venice begin, there will be even more films to be excited about.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
Also, there are films that are slated for this year, but they're in pre-production, like the newest films from Paul Thomas Anderson and George Miller. I would be super excited for those films if I knew when they were coming out, but they're in pre-production, so when those movies are coming out is completely up in the air.
My list is fucking questionable as hell. A lot of the movies I have on my list are from franchises that I deadass do not care about anymore. To be honest, this year better go by quick. I'm just trying to get to 2021. So much shit in 2021, fam. I can't wait. But anyway, my list is compiled of films that are not in order for the first 5, but the last 5 is the actual order of films I deadass can't wait to see, for better or worse, I guess.
Now it's time for...
Get down!
I have another honorable mentions list. These aren't films I'm necessarily excited for. I'm just cautious of their arrivals into my life. We're kicking it off with the newest film from Paul W.S. Anderson, Monster Hunter. It's based on a video game, and it stars Milla Jovovich, Ron Perlman, Megan Good, Tony Jaa, and T.I. for some reason. This film is pretty much destined to be terrible. Paul W.S. Anderson has never made a good movie, and I'm sure he'll find a way to waste Tony Jaa. I can't wait. It's gonna be great. Speaking of movies that are definitely going to be terrible, an animated Tom and Jerry film is happening. Yeah, I know. And it's being directed by Tim Story, who has never made a good movie. This Tom and Jerry movie is apparently supposed to be an origin story about why they hate each other, but like, they're a cat and mouse? What else do you need to explain? It was self-explanatory. I'm gonna put money on them having a Sonic-like debacle, but hey, maybe the Sonic thing convinced them not to design Tom and Jerry to give me nightmare fuel. Look at those fucking teeth! Speaking of animated movies, I'm very weary of the next Pixar film, Onward. The animation style seems unlike Pixar in many ways, and it's kind of turning me off. Also, when is Pixar gonna stop making movies where two people go on an adventure to find something? It's almost every single one of their movies. It's kind of annoying. Another animated film I'm worried about is Chicken Run 2. Yep, after 20 years for some reason, we're getting a second Chicken Run movie. Although I don't know what you would do with that since they escaped the farm, but okay, I guess. Like, are they gonna do like an underground railroad but for chickens? That metaphor would be terrible and racially insensitive, can we not? I'm not excited for this. I'm also worried. Reading what I just said is so tiring. I'm also worried because I saw Aardman's last film, Early Man, and it was not good at all. Like, not even worth talking about, not even worth reviewing. Speaking of movies I don't have any faith in, The New Mutants still hasn't come out yet. The first trailer for this film came out almost 2 years ago. We mentioned it in last year's video, and it was supposed to come out the year before, and it still hasn't been seen by anyone. There's a new release date for April of this year, so maybe it'll disappoint us in a couple of months, or maybe it'll just be so bad that it's good, or maybe it'll just be a mediocre movie that should have just been released and they should have just bit the bullet and gotten it over with already, like this bit. Speaking of movies that got pushed back, Antlers is the newest film by Scott Cooper, the director of Crazy Heart, Out of the Furnace, Black Mass, and Hostiles, which for me is one of the most underrated movies of the 2010s. Antlers was supposed to come out in November or December, I think, but now it's being released in April, and all evidence to the contrary has basically been erased, and I don't know why, but I hope it wasn't moved because it's bad, because the trailer was pretty great and I was kind of excited for it. Another horror film I'm worried about is the film Antebellum, directed by Gerard Bush and Christopher Renz. A horror movie premise of being stuck between the present day and the antebellum South is really intriguing to me, but I hope it doesn't exist just to capitalize on the success of Get Out and Us. Speaking of coattails, Bill and Ted Face the Music has a lot of potential to be either really good or really bad, but comedies that come out 20 to 30 years too late usually don't go over very well. But hey, anything is possible. possible. Speaking of not letting things go, Sony is still doing their Spider-Man villains thing, and that's being continued through the Jared Leto vehicle, Morbius. Daniel Espinosa's last film, Life, was really dumb and bad, and seeing as though Venom was terrible, I hope that this film at least gives us something to laugh at. Like, give me another Eminem theme song or something. Although I don't know how Eminem would make a chorus with the word Morbius. It'd be like Morbius is forming us something blah. Okay, well, this bit is over. Speaking of potential train wrecks, West Side Story is happening again, and Steven Spielberg thought it would be a cool idea to direct it. I love him, but he also hasn't been the most consistent director over the last 20 years. Also, West Side Story is like the second worst thing to ever happen to Puerto Ricans. I think West Side Story is ridiculous, and it doesn't do us any favors, seeing as though most of the Puerto Rican characters are in brownface, and they're actually white actors, but oh well, it's fine. Just keep remaking West Side Story. We don't have any other stories to tell. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Oh wait, In the Heights is coming out this year too, but they look really similar. Like another musical in the Upper West Side of New York that's a musical. Yeah, I still don't fucking care. Cool. Speaking of Steven Spielberg, Robert Zemeckis is coming out with a new film called The Witches. He, like Spielberg, hasn't been very consistent lately, but I'm cautiously hopeful that maybe he'll end up making one of my favorite films again, because once upon a time when he was under the tutelage of Steven Spielberg, he used to make movies that I liked. Speaking of filmmakers who were great in the 90s, Adrian Lyne is coming out with his first film since 2002. Deep Water is a film that seems like it's going to be wild as fuck. It seems like a lot of territory that Adrian Lyne has touched before, but seeing Ana de Armas and Ben Affleck together in this film very much interests me. Hopefully his 18-year absence means we'll get something special. Speaking of directors who released a film in 2002, Cherry is the newest film from the Russo brothers, director of these movies you've never heard of. A heist film from the Russo brothers sounds like a fun time, but I hope that since they're not tied down by Marvel's aesthetic, that they can actually make something more visually interesting than this. Speaking of directors who aren't visually the greatest, The Trial of Chicago 7 is the sophomore film from Aaron Sorkin. As a writer, he's one of my favorite writers. He's written great films and my favorite episode of television, but as a director, I was not impressed by his directorial debut, Molly's Game. His next film is a court drama, so it should be good. Like, he's really good at that stuff, so hopefully it's good. The cast is stacked, so yay, right? Yay? I'm not excited about any of the things I just talked about, so let's just do it.
You have to get past the Avengers and Marvel shit at some point, okay? Other f***ing people make movies.
I thought the first A Quiet Place was high-key annoying, but after watching this new trailer, I have to say I am low-key impressed and curious as to what is to come next. Although I did not like the story, I did love John Krasinski's directing of the film. I thought he directed the shit out of the first movie. This movie comes out the day after my birthday, so hopefully I'll see it and I won't want to make me kill myself on my birthday weekend. Wow, I'm old as hell. I'm 24. What the heck? Yeet?
French Dispatch is the 10th film from Wes Anderson, and it's apparently a love letter to journalists. The cast is amazing like every other Wes Anderson movie, and it's another Timothée Chalamet and Saoirse Ronan vehicle, and I cannot wait.
Okay, I know what you were thinking. A Disney live-action remake is anticipated for you, Glenn? Don't you hate Disney live-action remakes? And yeah, I really do. But after watching the latest trailer for this film for the first time, this one feels different to me. Sure, it will keep the same story elements as the original animated version, but I think the movie will also present a bunch of new elements as well. It looks fresh in a way, and it doesn't look extremely CGI heavy like previous live-action efforts, and it looks like I will actually have fun. I hope it's not garbage. Guess we will wait and see.
Blonde is the fourth film from Andrew Dominik, the director of the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford and Killing Them Softly. I think I put this film as number 4 on my 2018 most anticipated list, so I've been anticipating this for a long time. Another film from this visionary director should be enough to garner excitement, but Blonde is a film about Marilyn Monroe, with Ana de Armas playing Marilyn Monroe. I know, very weird casting decision, but she must have been cast for a reason, and I'm sure it's going to be amazing. It's currently in post-production, so it should be out this year. Besides, we need another piece of art called Blonde to absolutely wreck me. I'm ready.
Man, I love Scooby-Doo. Back when I was younger, this dog and his friends used to teach me that real monsters are people, or some shit that you see in an image or spam post. But nevertheless, yet again, the trailer for this movie makes me laugh and smile the hardest when I see it in theaters. The movie seems to be about how the gang got together for the first time and solved their very first mystery, and I high-key think there's been a movie about that before, but whatever, okay. But yeah, can't wait to see this movie and laugh, hopefully.
This can lead us to Scooby and Shaggy. Trace amounts of mustache oil, 12-year-old scotch.
Ugh, is the bad guy my dad?
The Souvenir Part 2 is the 5th film by Joanna Hogg. It's also the sequel to one of the most underrated films of 2019, The Souvenir. In many ways, there doesn't need to be a sequel to this film, but there's room for character growth, and I'm excited to see what happens next. It should be great. I'm excited.
Oh hell no, this movie was supposed to come out in what, April or some shit of 2019 and got pushed back to 2020? Lord, I'm looking up the first trailer right now and it came out in 2017. I can't wait for this to be awful. This is going to be such a guilty pleasure to watch in theaters and it's going to be amazing. Unless it's actually just a terrible movie. Oh my god, if the movie is unironically terrible, I will be so disappointed. Let's see what happens.
Last Night in Soho is the 6th film by Edgar Wright. The only film I haven't seen of his is World's End, and all of his other films are fantastic. It's a period piece, it's got time travel, sort of, it's got fashion, it's a horror movie, sort of. It's gonna be great. Anya Taylor-Joy is going to be great. It's shot by Chung Hoon Chung, who shot Old Boy, Thirst, and The Handmaiden, so it's going to be gorgeous, and I can't wait.
Another one? Oh god. This is another film I cannot wait to see. The first Venom was so bad that it was amazing, and I hope that Venom 2 is just as amazingly terrible. I wonder if Spider-Man will show up. I wonder if this will be in the MCU. Good lord. Venom! Gonna go get him! Venom! Venom!
Hey, I'm sorry about Venom.
The Last Duel is the 26th film by Ridley Scott. He's probably the most influential filmmaker of the last 40 years. He's directed some amazing films, but as his career has progressed, he's become hit or miss. But I think I have a good feeling about The Last Duel. It's written by Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, who won an Oscar for writing Good Will Hunting, and this is their first writing collaboration since. They're also starring in the film with Adam Driver, so there's a lot to be excited about. It's currently in pre-production, but Ridley Scott churns out films very quickly, so it should be out by Christmas time. He's returning to the medieval time period, so he's treading over familiar waters. Needless to say, I'm kind of excited. Let's hope it's nothing like Exodus and more like Gladiator. Haha.
Okay, now we are actually in anticipated territory, in a way. First off is DC's Birds of Prey. This DCEU film looks to be much better from previous efforts in this franchise. The Harley Quinn craze seems to be alive and well, and I can't wait to see Margot Robbie's return after, what, 4 years? It's really been 4 years since Suicide Squad? Jesus.
Mank is the 11th film from David Fincher about the screenwriter who wrote Citizen Kane. Gary Oldman is playing the screenwriter Herman J. Mankiewicz, and Tom Burke from The Souvenir is playing Orson Welles. It should be incredible. The film was written by Jack Fincher, David Fincher's father, who died in 2002, so this film should be highly personal to him, and we might get a more sentimental side of Fincher we haven't seen since The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. They're filming it now as I speak, so it should be out later this year. Fincher is one of my favorite filmmakers who continues to impress me every time I revisit one of his films. Panic Room is severely underrated. Rewatch Panic Room, it's on Netflix. Speaking of Netflix also announced this on their thread on Twitter, so it's definitely coming out this year. My feelings have been validated.
First of all, this is the worst title for a Halloween film in like forever. But anyway, yeah, I hated the sequel reboot Halloween 2 years ago, but look at me now. I really want to see what happens next in the franchise. I still like Michael Myers, and I'm curious to see what is going to happen to him and the characters in the movie, but I guess he's alive after being trapped in the burning house. Oh boy, will it happen off screen like Star Wars did with Palpatine? We will see. Again.
Annette is the 6th film from Leos Carax. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. The only film I've seen of his is Holy Motors, which I got to see at Lincoln Center back in 2018, and it completely blew me away. I've never seen a movie like that in my entire life. Besides his artistic abilities, the thing that really caught my attention is that this is a musical starring Adam Driver and Marion Cotillard. I feel like that should be enough to sell anybody. It's in post-production, so it'll probably be at Cannes or Venice maybe. I can't wait to see it. Tenet is the 11th film from Christopher Nolan, one of the few directors who can make original films with big budgets anymore. I really like all of his films besides Dunkirk, which I did not enjoy at all, and The Dark Knight Rises, which is not friendly to repeat viewings. But Tenet looks like a return to what Nolan was doing earlier in his career with Following and Inception. The cast is spectacular, and this is the first time a black person has been the lead of any of his films. I hope this isn't the last time Nolan casts a black actor as the main character, but at least we're getting it, right? Also, I'm really excited to see Robert Pattinson do his Robert Pattinson thing. The film is shot by Hoyte van Hoytema, who has been his DP since Interstellar, which turns me into a puddle every time I see it. I'm very excited for Tenet. I just hope that we'll be able to actually hear lines of dialogue unlike Dunkirk, and I hope that maybe we'll have actual characters unlike Dunkirk, and I hope that the film will be structured in a way that makes sense unlike Dunkirk. It should be a ton of fun.
I didn't like Dunkirk, but Christopher Nolan still continues to be my favorite working director today. This new film Tenet looks to be another mind-bending classic from him, and I am glad that he's returning to blockbuster filmmaking, and with a lead of color too. Oh man, going to be a good time, hopefully.
I'm Thinking of Ending Things is the 3rd film from Charlie Kaufman, the writer of Being John Malkovich, Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, Adaptation, and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. The first film he directed, Synecdoche, New York, is one of the most devastating films that tackles the subject of death probably ever, and Anomalisa was pretty good, but not as impactful as Synecdoche, New York was for me. Charlie Kaufman is to depression what Christopher Nolan is to big budget blockbusters, if that makes any sense. I was grabbed by the title, I'm Thinking of Ending Things, just because most of Charlie Kaufman's works are depressing, but now he's just saying it in the fucking title? Like, that's the most depressing shit I've ever read. The cast is pretty great. Toni Collette being in another horror film is already a yes from me. I'm ready for this film to absolutely devastate me. And it's a Netflix original film, so you can just cry in the comfort of your own home. Have you ever heard someone get this excited about being depressed?
Yeah, this is it. This film will save the movie industry. A deadass cannot wait to see this and just laugh and have a good time. With #Fate being the greatest film of all time, and Hobbs and Shaw being disappointing and not very enjoyable, this movie has a lot it must accomplish in order for it to be the movie event of the year. Oh man, where is the trailer? What crazy thing is going to happen next to the family? I can't wait to see it.
Dune. Oh my god. I cannot wait. Yes, please. Dune is the 9th film from Denis Villeneuve, the director of Polytechnique, Incendie, Prisoners, Enemy, Sicario, Arrival, and Blade Runner 2049. Many of these films are some of the best films of their respective years and some of the best films of the entire decade. Every film of his seems like a natural progression in scale, from a film about the day of a school shooting in Polytechnique to a globe-trotting family drama in Incendie, which is probably my favorite film of his, all the way to a save the world alien movie in Arrival, which is just tears from start to finish. And Blade Runner 2049 was a perfect follow-up to the most influential film since Citizen Kane. Dune is a monolith in the sci-fi genre. If you haven't seen the documentary Jodorowsky's Dune yet, I would highly recommend it because it talks about probably the greatest film never made from Alejandro Jodorowsky himself. The art was amazing, the cast was crazy, Meg Jagger and Salvador Dali were going to be in the movie. Just watch the documentary. It's crazy. Dune was later made into whatever this is from David Lynch, and it's mostly forgotten about, thank God, because David Lynch's filmography otherwise is fantastic.
Hit it. Yell at it.
Jodorowsky's Dune, however, well, at least the production book, has been used to influence basically every large film from the 70s through the 90s that you probably like, and those films have influenced other movies that have come out since, so this production book is very influential. I assume that Denis Villeneuve's version is going to homage what Jodorowsky was trying to do, while also doing his own thing, which is basically what he did in Blade Runner 2049. It's being shot by Greg Fraser, who shot Killing Them Softly, Zero Dark 30, Rogue One, and The Mandalorian, so it should be fucking gorgeous. And this cast is ridiculous. We got Rebecca Ferguson, Timothy Chalamet, Oscar Isaac, Zendaya, Jason Momoa, Josh Brolin, Dave Bautista, Stellan Skarsgård, Javier Bardem, and Charlotte Rampling. So it's gonna blow my mind, hopefully. Basically, what I'm trying to say is if you're not excited about Dune, you're dead inside, and yeah, that's it.
With Godzilla 2014, I was fooled once. With Godzilla King of the Monsters, I was fooled twice. And with Godzilla vs. Kong, I will be fooled thrice? Lord, I don't know. Why is this movie even my most anticipated of the year? This movie is going to be horrible, isn't it? The last two movies were horrible. I just want to be able to feel that same nostalgic feel I had when I was a little boy in my footy pajamas watching Godzilla movies on a Saturday morning with a bowl of sugary cereal. Please, God, make this movie not be awful. Please, I just want one good Godzilla movie in order to just look at it and smile and have a good time. Please, Lord. Amen.
All right, everybody, that's our list. Those are the things we're excited about. I hope you're excited about them too, or I hope you learned some things or found out some things that you might be interested in. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. We appreciate it. Love you. Okay, bye-bye.
Other people make movies.